Are you also completely fed up with these stupid looking cylinders on every single robot? Flat plane, no detail, it is just a circle. So, I'm sure as shit tired of it, so I'm gonna explain to you today how to make some nicer looking ones that are actually better as well. So, first, you want to have at least one normal cylinder slice like this, because this is kind of the base of your rotation. I'm not 100% certain on this yet, but I think that adding this makes it so that there is less force on the motor. But then again, this is all speculation. I can't even really fully explain it yet, but just put the cylinder slice on. I like going 2 and then just 10mm rubber because I just do. I don't really have a reason beyond that. Now we get to the fun stuff, which is the actual wheel. You do that like this. You go to this square, right here, over here, and then over here, over here, over here. Then you go up to, I believe I usually do 2. Then you make another layer. Nothing's changing here yet. Then you move them all in. 3 down, 1 to the inside. 3 down, 1 to the inside. 3 up, 1 to the inside. Okay, this doesn't need to be this tall, of course, so I think I usually go with 7 here. I don't think this really matters too much, but it's worked so far, so I'm going to keep going with it. And then to finish it off, we make it 0.3 here so that it's exactly 30 centimeters high as a custom shape. You might be able to make this smaller. I'm not sure if you can. If you can, feel free to share it in the comments or whatever. So then, we move on. Option 2 should always work when you have copied this properly. If you haven't, then option 2 is going to look off, so that's how you know. We will call this the Cube Brazil wheel, because that's what these are inspired by. I was actually doing another test earlier, but this one didn't. This one's not, like, beginner-friendly enough. I might make another video about this one, but it kind of blows as well, so let's just delete that. Okay. Back into the game. I'm going to line this up on the cylinder right here. If you zoom in far enough, you can actually look inside of the piece, so you can line it up properly immediately. I always like having the base one vertically, like this. Then we make it align to the cylinder over here. You can tell if it's going in on the other side of the robot because there's no UI in the way. You can zoom in like that. Then you can see if you're touching or not. Then, I tend to go with 0.1 at first, and then just see how far out it has to go for the axle to make sense, pretty much. I really don't like having my axle stick out the wheel, so I usually go a little outside of it. That's too little. I'll probably go... Yeah, that looks about right. That's still a decent distance. That's believable. That's about what the wheels would be used as. And then comes the somewhat tricky part of figuring out how tall the wheel section has to be. I think this kind of looks like an 0.2. Oh, it's actually bigger. Okay. Yeah, it's centered properly, so it is a little taller. And this part, you just have to figure out how tall it has to be. This is just trial and error. Okay, so once you can see on the cylinder, this little edge right here, that's good. Because that means that while rotating, you're going to have more points of rubber on the floor. That's a good thing. It just is. Whenever I make this too small, it drives weird. If I make it too big, there is what I was mentioning earlier in the video, that the drive starts acting funny, gets high temps, you know? So, then you place the next one onto this, and here you will find out if your settings were correct. I always like to go with rotation stamp 15 degrees for this. And as you can see, we kind of missed it. So it's got to be a little thinner. I'm going to guess 0.08. You got to do that on both to get an accurate reading. I see that's too little now, and now you have just this big seam going down the middle. But you can see that the seam will line up. So the paneling is proper. That's no problem. I'm going to guess this is... that looks like a 7, maybe? No, that's a 6. This is just figuring it out for the diameter of your wheel, so... Oh, I was way off, actually. It might have been 8.5? Probably still off. No, that is it. 0.85 for a 1.3 diameter wheel. So if you happen to be having that diameter of wheel, you need to copy these exact settings right here. Not this one per se, because that's just the width of your axle, but this is a good starting point. So now, we copy those two onto the center one again. This is how I like to make my wheels, because it's just the easiest way. Then we rotate it twice, that side. Then we copy this assembly. We still copy it onto the first one. We put it back in. Once you can't see it move anymore, then that means you've gone beyond it, so yeah. You rotate that 1, 2, 3, 4. And then copy one more time. And you repeat the same process once again. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. And I fucked it up. Here you go. So there you have it. Okay, now we get on to the next part, which is just mostly a finishing touch. For this wheel, I would actually probably change it a little, because this angle is a little too steep for the look I want. I'm actually going to edit mine a little bit. I'm going to make this 0.2, and make this 0.3. Let's see what effect that has. It might make the axle expose now. Let's see. Yep. Exactly how I predicted it. So we're going to make the axle a little shorter. That's always an option. And then we can look inside with T-shapes. Yeah, that's definitely in far enough to still be giving weld strength, but not so far in that it will probably be hit from the outside. Then you have a hollow cylinder large. You could try a mid, but I like going with large. I just like the look of it more. And then you try to line it up on this line of the tire. This isn't that precise. You can just kind of freeball it. And then 1.3 is the normal diameter. This side is 0.2, so I always like to mirror that over here, so I do 0.2 as well. Then rubber. You can see there's a little pattern going down here as well. That's the overlap I was mentioning. You could leave it like that if you like the look of this. It's actually pretty neat looking, so maybe an idea for your robot. But I like to have them just be solid chunks of rubber with a bit of texture. Look, that's way nicer than what we started with, in my opinion anyway. Now for one more finishing touch, you could put a cylinder on it. Move that in 0.1, and then we're going to make this 0.15 at first. We'll make this 0.4. We'll get to it. Give me a second here. We'll make it titanium, sure. And then I like putting a bolt on here to make it look nice. Just to make it look nice. 1.6, 1.6, 1.6. La-di-da-di-da. You move it in. You can now make this 0.1. You move it in again. You couldn't just skip that first step I just mentioned, I realized. And then you just move it in, and there you go. Now, I think this looks much nicer than just a random cylinder. And it, as you can see by the video length, it's, with me explaining over it, this barely took me, I don't know, 7 minutes. You could definitely do this faster if you're not explaining why you're doing things, so I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope to see more cool-looking wheels, and I will see you for the next Robot Rumble tutorial, whatever. Peace.